In 1885, a city was completely surrounded. No escape, no food, no reinforcements. Inside were 30,000 civilians and a dying army. Outside were 40,000 warriors closing in, and the man in charge refused to leave. What happened next would turn him into a legend and cost thousands of lives. In 1883, the British Empire controlled much of Africa. But in Sudan, a man called the Mahdi declared holy war, and what followed wasn't civilization defeating chaos, it was a massacre hidden behind empire. General Charles Gordon was already a legend. 30 years of war across China, India, and Africa had made him famous. By 1883, he was 60 years old and chasing one last victory. The British Empire wanted Sudan, the Nile, and the trade routes. So in 1884, they sent Gordon to Khartoum on a simple mission: evacuate civilians and leave. But when he arrived, everything had already changed. 7,000 soldiers and 30,000 civilians were trapped inside. Outside the city stood 40,000 Mahdi warriors, tightening the noose. Gordon made a decision that sealed his fate. He refused to evacuate. He chose to hold the city instead. His message to London was clear: "I will hold this town." London replied, "Do what you think best." That sentence became one of the most costly misunderstandings in imperial history. The siege began. 10 months without escape. Supplies meant for 3 months had to last nearly a year. Food ran out, disease spread, and hope collapsed. A single egg cost a week's wages. Gordon knew the truth. In his diary, he wrote, "I am in an awful fix. The people blame me, and they are right." But he didn't change course. Retreat meant disgrace. Staying meant survival of his name, even if it cost lives. In London, they delayed. Relief was approved too late. General Wolseley led 7,000 troops up the Nile, but the river, the heat, and time itself slowed them down. Every day they moved forward, Khartoum moved closer to collapse. By January 1885, the city was finished. Ammunition was almost gone, 5 bullets per soldier. Gordon wrote, "I have done my duty." That night, 50,000 warriors attacked. What followed wasn't a battle, it was a slaughter. Gordon died at 52. His body was never found. 2 days later, the relief force arrived too late, finding only ruins and silence. In Britain, outrage exploded. But not at the decision that caused it, at the delay that failed to fix it. Gordon became a national hero. Statues were built, his name was immortalized. But the truth was harder. Gordon believed holding Khartoum was honor. He believed retreat was failure. He believed willpower could override reality. He was wrong on all three. The Mahdi died months later, but the war continued. Over 300,000 Sudanese would die across the wider conflict. And behind it all wasn't just one man, but an entire system that rewarded pride, delayed responsibility, and turned tragedy into glory. Years later, Britain returned with overwhelming force. At Omdurman, thousands died in hours. Empire won, but at a cost history rarely mentions. Gordon became a legend in Britain. His statue still stands today. But in Sudan, Khartoum is remembered differently. Not as heroism, but as loss. Because this is how empires survive failure. They rename it, they build monuments, and they forget the people who paid for it. And if you're still here, subscribe, because stories like this are never taught the way they actually happened.